It's a special edition of our first NBC Bank video update. Lenny Van Gilder, Ken Trahan, as we get ready to wrap up the high school football playoffs for 2015. The non-select schools making their way to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome this Friday and Saturday with 5 more state championship games. And the local interest comes on Saturday with 4 of the 6 teams in play from Southeast Louisiana. But let's start with the Friday action. Let's work our way chronologically. The kickoff is at 4:30 Friday afternoon. The 1A championship game, Haynesville and Kentwood. And Kentwood, the one team from our area here, facing Haynesville. And I think you anticipated this one from the time the brackets came out, that these would be the 2 teams we would see in the Dome.
Well, we certainly predicted it, but it's no revelation. I think most people would have thought this way prior to. And let me say this before we get started. I am so glad that after this year, hopefully permanently, we won't be using this terminology, non-select. How would you like to be someone at a non-select school? I didn't choose to go there. I don't want to go there. I didn't select it. Give me a break. Okay, Kentwood, Haynesville, great game, right game, 2 best teams, 2 great programs, even matchup, could be the best game of the weekend. Everybody anticipated this. Haynesville has the 2nd most state championships in the history of Louisiana to only John Curtis, which tells you about the program that the Franklin family has formulated in northeastern Louisiana. And, of course, Kentwood, David Career had a great program for years. It's been carried on in great fashion. They are very athletic. Shaheem Carter's really good. This is a really good football game. Flip a coin as far as I'm concerned. But I'm going to go with the guys from South Louisiana, the Kentwood Kangaroos, in a very, very close call.
They'll be happy under the tank if that happens. 2A will wrap up the Friday card, 8 p.m. Allegedly might be a few minutes later than that. Mangum and Kinder. And again, this was one I think as we got further along in the bracket, this was one that you anticipated as well.
I think so, but Mangum may be a little bit of a surprise based on what they did during a regular season. Good, but not great. Kinder, I think everybody expected to be here. They had to win a rematch game to get here. And to me, they're the chalk. They're the best team. One of the things to watch for in this game is the kicking game. These are not the best kicking games that you will see. So obviously field position's big. And if somebody falters in the kicking game, it could make the difference in this game. But I like Kinder.
That'll wrap up the Friday schedule, and then when we get to Saturday, we've got 3A, 4A, and 5A, and the one local game that really is anticipated on the 3A schedule. Like we said, last one out of St. James Parish. Please turn out the lights. St. James and Lutcher, noon Saturday. It's going to be really, really fun, I think.
Yeah, so many twists and turns in this matchup with Dwayne Jenkins, the pupil, played for Tim Detillier at Lutcher. Coached under him, called plays under him. Now he's coaching against him in the same parish. 2 heated rivals who didn't play for 10 years because of the heated nature of the rivalry, and they end up playing twice this year. And the 2 coaches are riding together to go to different places, which their fans are scratching their heads about. So that's how much respect they have for each other. The support's going to be incredible. Both teams with great quarterbacks. What a story on Lowell Narcisse to come back just over 5 months after a torn ACL. Who does that? And he's played well. And John J. Kirkland is terrific. So when you look at this matchup, you got to like Lutcher. They won the first matchup 32-0. They're the number 1 seed, but this will be a closer game.
I totally agree with that, and that will be the kind of game that might be a one-possession game in the fourth quarter with a chance for someone to win it. We move on to 4A, and you identified early on in this process, if there is a sleeper in any of these brackets, at least in terms of seed, that it might be Edna Carr, because of the way they finished the regular season. And lo and behold, here are the Carr Cougars in the Dome taking on the 1 seed Neville.
Well, they get better as the season goes on every year. And let's keep this in mind. They have their 3rd head coach in 4 years, and it's an adjustment. I don't care if the guy's been on staff like Bryce Brown was. It's an adjustment when you change head coaches. So you look at what they did earlier. They played really tough competition, and they got whipped by St. Paul's badly at Hunter Stadium to start the season. They've come a long way since then. They got whipped by Warren Easton late in the season, but that was without Alden Clark. Clark comes back the following week, and they beat McDonough 35, and they haven't looked back. They have skill on the outside. They can run and catch the ball from Clark. Their defense is good as always. Maybe not as prolific as we've seen in recent years, but it's a very good football team. That's the good news. The bad news is they're facing Neville, who's the defending champion, undefeated, certainly the favorite. They have an impregnable force up front defensively. They're just very difficult to do anything with, led by the blue-chip defensive lineman, Rashard Lawrence, who's got offers from everyone. So that's going to be a tough task for Carr to move these guys. And Caden Reed's good at quarterback for Neville. They can move the football. Mickey McCarty does a great job. These two teams have met in the Dome twice previously in recent years, 2011, 2012. They split those two games. They played last year in the quarterfinals. Neville won at Monroe 34-7. So you got to like Neville in the game, but I don't sell Ed Carr short.
It's like we saw last year. It was a little bit tighter seed matchup when Neville faced Warren Easton, but it was quite the game. We'll see how this one shakes out. And again, that is at 3:30 on Saturday. The capper to the weekend, Saturday night, 7 o'clock is the scheduled kick time. And John Ehret, what a terrific story there, taking on Zachary as the Patriots are back in the Dome for the first time in 30 years.
Well, as I wrote in my preview of the game, style makes the fight. If this were a boxing match, you'd have to love it. You got the puncher and the counterpuncher. You got the great offense and the great defense. So it really is who imposes whose will on the other guy. Ehret's going to try to win the line of scrimmage on offense and run the football with Dejon Harris, who does everything for this team. He not only runs the team at quarterback and is a standout linebacker, but he also punts. I mean, he does everything for this team. And then, of course, on the other side of the coin, you got the Gatorade Player of the Year in Louisiana and Lindsey Scott, who's tremendous. If you haven't seen him, you need to go watch him play. He's really good. So Zachary has a great offense that people haven't stopped, and Ehret has a great defense that nobody's scoring on. People average under 10 points a game on the year against John Ehret, and that includes the 38 that Destrehan scored early in the season. So great defensive front, great offense. Something's got to give. This ought to be delicious. If I had to make a pick, I'd give a slight edge to Zachary. They've been there and done that. They were in the semis last year, barely lost to Acadiana. 16 seniors back. They figure to be here. They are.
We'll see how it plays out, and that will be the capper to a 5-game weekend. Look, we encourage you to get out to the Dome and check out some high school football, but if you can't, you need to tune in because there's lots of opportunities to tune in.
All day Saturday. We'll be on with the Three Tailgater Show Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Ed Daniels, Rick Gailey, and I live from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. And we'll carry right into 3 straight game broadcasts, and we will not leave the air. We'll stay on before, during, and after each game with a host of 10 people or so that'll be co-hosting and taking care of business, and you won't want to miss it. Starting with the 3A game at noon between St. James and Lutcher. 3:30 game, of course, follows with Carr and Neville, and the capper, Ehret and Zachary. Just tune in to WGSO 990 AM Saturday morning, 10 a.m., and stay with us. No need to leave. We expect you to be with us from start to finish, which means you've got to spend at least 12 hours listening to radio in succession on Saturday or at WGSO.com. Either way is fine. You just need to listen. That's all there is.
And let's not forget the final edition of the original for this year, Friday night, also from the Dome. Well, you won't have game broadcasts. You'll have some updates of what's going on and a ton of great guests, I'm sure.
Yeah, Eddie Bonanno will join us. We have a whole bunch of coaches coming up to join us, and we'll be giving our 2 cents about everything. So it'll be, and of course, we'll update the games that are going on Friday, the 1A and 2A games. So we look forward to that. Final version, 21 years. Whew, it's flown by.
And of course, if you aren't near a radio or near the ability to stream the broadcast on the internet, stay with us right here at sportsnola.com. Full game coverage, of course, our scoreboard as we have it every week, presented by the All-State Sugar Bowl. No better place to get your scores and your coverage than right here at sportsnola.com. Ken, have a fun weekend. You love this time of year. I'm sure it will be tremendous.
It's going to be great. Look forward to a great weekend, and hopefully next year it's just one weekend.
Let's hope so. That's our special edition of this First NBC Bank video update presented by First NBC Bank. Hope to see you at the Dome this weekend, or if not, stay with us right here at sportsnola.com.